Is Final Fantasy XIV fundamentally not able to tell as good of a story as a single-player game can? Who has a fleshed-out main protagonist who grows throughout the game and story? I don't know. That's something I've been thinking about this whole time while I've been playing the game. What's going on, everyone? Genji here with another Final Fantasy XIV update. I have finished yet another big moment in Final Fantasy XIV, the end of the 1,000-year Dragon Song War. At least I think it's the end. Let me play a few more missions and we'll see where it goes. For those of you that are new to the channel, I've been playing through Final Fantasy XIV to see if it lives up as one of the best stories the Final Fantasy franchise has ever told. So far, I'm nearly 300 hours into the game. I've leveled up multiple characters to level 60 and beyond. I've played a ton of side content, and I've played the main story quest all the way to Heavenward patch 3.4. So in this video, we're going to be talking about patches 3.1 to 3.3. And if you're interested in seeing any of the highlights of my playthrough through this patch content, you can find all of those videos and more on my Clips channel. Link in the description. Okay, so picking up where we left off. Ishgard. We're still in Ishgard. I think it would have been kind of silly if everybody in Ishgard just immediately embraced this radically new form of government and leadership after 1,000 years. So it made a lot of sense that the patch content was semi-dedicated towards Ishgard and all of the events afterwards, through this transformation of government led by Emmerich. This was a great use of time before going over to Stormblood. We got some more character development with Artie, Emma, and Emmerich, with Artie becoming the patriarch of House 4-Temps, Emmerich becoming the temporary leader of all of Ishgard, and Emma getting punched in the face. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Before any of that, we first met Kryl, who helped us locate Minfilia and Thancred.
Oh, please, think nothing of it.
These Heavenward patches really do pack a lot of content in them. I'm only about halfway done, and it seems like so many things have happened. So, we found Thancred. We met with the Warrior of Darkness. What? What is this? Like some kind of bizarro world? I thought at first that maybe this guy was the Warrior of Light in some other dimension, and maybe he failed and then was brought back to this dimension to try and mess up all of our plans. But then I met another Warrior of Light from another dimension that failed, who came to our dimension, and maybe there's 3 dimensions and the Warrior of Darkness is from a third. I don't really know, but it does have my attention. I think this is an interesting part of the game. I'm excited to see where it goes forward, but as of right now, I don't really have a good read on it. And then yes, that brings us to Minfilia, who got all weird crystal mind controlled on us. What is happening to my Final Fantasy? So I've said this before in some of my predictions, but I really don't think the crystal is just like 100% good, has our best interest at mind, especially after it like brain-controlled Minfilia. I mean, the game's not really saying anything quite yet, but I think Alfie has the right idea. It's kind of messed up that we're just losing friends. And yeah, sure, the world is cruel and we're gonna lose some people along the way, but it seems like some of it may be a little bit unnecessary, or at least maybe we should have a say in it and not just accept that the crystal's gonna just mind control someone, or in the case of Estinian, that he's just a lost cause and that we shouldn't try and do something about it. And I think that we got to see some really great character development with Alfie while he was voicing all of his concerns and the hope that he has that he can still try and save some of his friends and not just accept whatever fate hands him. I really like this take. The only problem that I have with it is that it's coming from Alfie and not the Warrior of Light. Fundamentally, I think this is just something that the game struggles with. It's not good at giving your character emotions, thoughts, and feelings. You're a blank slate, silent protagonist. Now, I already hear you guys typing in the comments defending the game and this choice. Of course, it has to be like this. It's an MMO. We all get to create whatever unique character that we want, and then we get to project ourselves onto that character. And fair enough, I know it's an MMO. I'm not saying this is the wrong choice for the game to make you a silent protagonist. It would be virtually impossible otherwise. I totally get that. But why am I bringing this up? Because I think it points to the fact that Final Fantasy XIV is overall, most importantly, an MMO. Even if it's true that it's more story driven than any other MMO, it's still an MMO, which means that customization and the individuality of your character so that you feel that this is your character and your projection into this world, this is all just a notch higher higher on the hierarchy of importance when it comes to story. Story's just not as important as those other things because still, fundamentally, it's an MMO. Where games that are pure single-player experiences don't have that to compete with. They can put the story and the characters above any of that customization or just not have that customization at all. They can have a fully fleshed out, named protagonist with a backstory, with a history, with a personality, and then they can evolve that throughout the game in a way that you just can't do in an MMO. Let me put it this way, would Final Fantasy VII be as memorable if Cloud was just a blank slate? Had no past, no personality, and you could just make up whatever character you wanted? Sure, you can customize your name, but at the end of the day, Cloud is Cloud. Whereas the Warrior of Light, well, as of right now, I don't really know his backstory, but regardless of what that is, the game fundamentally is not telling a story through the perspective of a character that has a personality and feelings that can grow and develop in the same way that a single-player game can. So this does bring up the question, is Final Fantasy XIV fundamentally not able to tell as good of a story as a single-player game can, who has a fleshed-out main protagonist who grows throughout the game and story? I don't know. That's something I've been thinking about this whole time while I've been playing the game. And I thought this point was maybe a great time for me to bring it up, but it's still something that I want to continue to revisit as I'm playing through the game. I'll probably make a full video on all of this in the future once I finish the game. Please let me know in the comments, do you think that this factor that your main character is a blank silent protagonist, do you think that affected the quality of the story or not? Please let me know in the comments. But like I mentioned, I do think this is the right choice that the game's making. It's an MMO, so they're gonna have your character be a silent blank protagonist, you customize and put all of your projections onto that character, and then that character development that you would have had is going to just be shown through the other characters around you. And I think Alphinaud is really becoming somewhat of a main character, the main character in some ways. And the more that I think about it, he kind of reminds me of other Final Fantasy protagonists from other games. He's really young and optimistic, and I think this whole part of the game where Alfie is kind of coming of age, he's beginning to see that the world is not just perfect and everything doesn't just work out, but then he's choosing not to be jaded by that and to still have hope. I feel like that's a really big character moment. Like I said, I thought it was right on. I wished my character could be doing it. That being said, I think they're doing a really good job here. I think this is a great evolution for this character to go through. And I think looking back, this is going to be a really big inflection point in the game where we've decided to take our fate into our own hands a little bit more. And this leads us up to the final encounter with Nidhogg and Estinian, where we, instead of just accepting that maybe he's just not gonna make it and he's just gonna be a sacrifice, we tried to save him. I was reminded a bit of earlier on in the game when Estinian told Alfie that he couldn't come with you guys when you fought Nidhogg. When he said that Alfie just wasn't really ready for it, which he was totally right. Yeah, Alphinaud's not the strongest character. He's not the most competent just yet. He's small in stature, but he ended up pulling through and being a hero in this moment. To the very person who put him down and said that, hey, you're not ready yet, and risked his own life and yours to save Estinian. And this was just done beautifully side by side with the other characters who did pay the ultimate sacrifice for the greater good. Needless to say, I'm very happy with this ending. I think it was just poetically wrapped up with a nice little bow on top. We wrapped up and honored the stories of the other characters that had fallen previously, and we saved our bro. And we've been losing a lot of bros. This was definitely my favorite story arc so far, so yeah, I mean, A+. This was great Final Fantasy XIV stuff right here. The game also has dozens of other threads that it's been weaving, with Papliamo and Ida in one cutscene, Raban and the Sultana's return, Emmerich and his new responsibilities as the leader of Ishgard, Yashtola's new and dangerous position that she may be in now that she's used forbidden magic, Thancred's alleged loss of powers, and Estinian walking off into the sunset. And of course the Warriors of Dankness, I didn't forget about them. The game has its hooks in me, but to be honest, I've also been feeling a little bit fatigued. Whether it's streamer-induced fatigue or it's the fact that I've never played a narrative game for over 300 hours, I am finding myself a little bit less excited to go spend hours and hours doing side content, when I just kind of want to keep playing the main story. People have told me, oh, you need to go and do this, you need to do that, you need to get this backstory and do this raid and do this and that and this and that. Part of it is definitely that I'm doing 10 years worth of content in just a few short months, but this is my first MMO experience. I've just never really played a game like this before. And it's exciting that there's just like this sheer giant massive amount of content that you can just go to at any point in any time. It makes the world feel lived in and just alive and just bustling with things to do. But it's also just kind of been overwhelming. And then at the same time, I'm trying to grow a YouTube channel and a Twitch channel, and I feel like you guys want me to experience everything that you've experienced, the things that you love, so I'm trying to do that, but I'm also at the same time trying to go at my own pace and play the game naturally how I would want to play it. And I guess what I'm saying right now is that I don't really want to do any of the side content. I just want to play the main story. But I feel like if I do that, people won't respect my opinion of the story, because that's what I'm doing here. I'm critiquing the story. But then if I didn't get this little nugget of backstory from this one raid and this one thing and this one trial, so it's just kind of been stressing me out a bit. And I didn't really want to talk about this, but what I'm doing here is documenting my experience playing the game, and this is part of my experience playing the game, is that I'm experiencing this fatigue. I don't want to do side content, and I'm just trying to figure out exactly what to do with that. And I think I just need to play the game how I want to play it at the end of the day. And if you guys value my opinion less because I didn't do every single thing that you think I needed to do to have a full perspective of the game, then you know what? That's okay. You know what? That's going to be okay, because at the end of the day, I just want to share with you guys my experience, and if it's different from yours, that's okay too. So I wanted to share that with you guys, because while I am very critical, I'm critiquing and judging the game, I do overall want this channel and my videos to be positive and to be celebrating the fun and cool things that I see in the game, regardless if there are some negatives. I want to be a optimist, not a pessimist. So to do that long term, I need to continue to have fun while I'm playing the game, so I can come back and share that fun with you guys. But anyways, this video is way too long, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.